bit there.
Well, while all that was going on in the day before, Jens Stoltenberg was in the UK for the European Political Community meeting that we were talking about on Friday's programme. They're looking very cosy together there on this tweet. Jens tweeted out, important European Political Community meeting today hosted by UK PM Keir Starmer. European security and transatlantic security go hand in hand, and NATO is the cornerstone of European security. We've explained why that is in the past with the EU's defence union diagram. But let's just have a look at a couple of the other comments that he made in the official statement following this. It's great to be back in the United Kingdom, he said, and I look forward to attending the meeting of the European Political Community. Today we will discuss how to defend our democracies, both from external threats, but also from internal threats. Now, this is something that I've been talking about for a little bit of time because of this language appearing in the Integrated Operating Concept document. This came out of the Integrated Defence Review from 2021-2022. Let's just remind ourselves what the words said. The old distinction between foreign and domestic defence is increasingly irrelevant. Home is no longer a secure sanctuary whence we may choose to launch interventions unhindered. Away is no longer a regional horizon, but a global one. And so now we're seeing the same language repeated by the head of NATO, the outgoing head of NATO, admittedly, but nonetheless, it seems to not have moved from being UK military doctrine to being NATO military doctrine. And I see this, Brian, as being unbelievably dangerous, because as soon as governments and multinational organizations start seeing domestic citizens as being a threat, we begin to understand who they perceive the enemy to be.
And they're capable of doing anything.
Yes.
Basically.
And you got any other thoughts?
Well, more of this stuff has got to come out to the public as a whole, because UK Column is finding this information, researching it and putting it forward. But of course, you're not reading any of this type of analysis in the wider media. But this is where they're telling us in plain sight what they intend to do. So I absolutely agree. The public has now become the enemy, on a par with the enemy, such as maybe overseas.
So let's look at a few more of Stoltenberg's words. Here he is. The main message is that the stronger the support for Ukraine and the longer we're willing to commit, the sooner the war will end. Now, that seems that's war is peace, right? So we got to continue the war in order to achieve peace.
Well, we're going to have a look in a minute, Mike, because it's clear that the intention is it's utter desperation now to keep the Ukrainian war running. And they will stop at nothing to do that. And of course, nothing for the Ukrainian means, slaughter of a whole nation.
And let's just look then at the final comment from him, because he said the paradox is that now President Putin believes he can wait us out, so therefore the war continues. I mean, is Putin wrong?
Well, he can't wait out the West because the West is failing. But of course, this is typical Stoltenberg, isn't it? Which is playing with the words to put the whole blame back on Putin. But the war continues at the moment because NATO and the West simply do not want to stop the war. And while there are Ukrainians still silly enough to continue fighting a proxy war for the West, that war is going to continue. A little bit later in the news, we can have a look at some of the statistics around casualties. And this is really a horrific conflict, but we're still not seeing any detail about it.
So last week, Charles was talking about the launch of the new defence review from Starmer's new regime, and we'll be watching that very carefully. Of course, this integrated operating concept isn't going away. That will be feeding into that new defence review. We really just can't overstate this point, the perception amongst our governments and multinational organizations is that people at home are a threat, or as big a threat as people abroad. This is very, very dangerous.
And we've already got commentators calling for this review as soon as possible. In fact, they're desperate that it's not actually happening this year, it's into next year, because they want to get all of the military ducks in a row, working with partners, spreading out the load of the ammunition supply in order to keep Ukraine going. But the way the conflict's going at the moment, it doesn't appear to be that easy, as we are going to see.